Self-Deletion Squad, one of the most hilarious modern-day gaming disasters, gets a Season 1, baby.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League had one chance to show that there is potential for a long-term future, and that was Season 1. For those who don't know, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League launched to tepid reception, both critically and commercially. The user score is not great either, whether it's Metacritic or open.
What do you mean tepid? It was an absolute disaster. And everyone knew that Season 1 is not gonna change anything, because the core gameplay is bad. You're talking about a looter shooter with bad shooting, boring loot, and, well, it's an online game, and online multiplayer hardly works most of the time. So, no Season 1 ever could fix all of that.
OpenCritic, where only 19% of critics recommended this game. On Steam, you'll find that review scores have been mostly positive, which is a bit surprising, but people argue that the campaign experience was enjoyable enough and the gameplay and the combat offered a decent amount of fun, and people were hoping that the foundation could be spruced up by Season 1, which would introduce a brand new playable character, the Joker, the iconic Joker character, though this is not the
iconic verse Joker character that we have ever seen in our lives. A skinny, flamboyant, clearly weak and boring Joker. That's what you get. Enjoy.
The Arkham series Joker. There's like a new Joker who people are not particularly jiving with. But with the launch of Season 1, the reception has been rather abysmal. People are looking at Season 1 and saying this is kind of the final nail in the coffin. If they missed the mark so much with Season 1 and they just made the live service aspect so irrelevant with the launch of brand new content, then there's simply no long-term hope for this game, is sort of the narrative that's going around right now, which is why recent reviews have been rather mixed.
I would argue that actually we need to stop this, okay? A live service game is not inherently bad, okay? Can we stop saying live service equals instantaneously bad? Helldivers 2 is a purely live service game, okay? And it's amazing and no one's gonna even try to probably argue that. And it works. Why? Because it's a good game. This doesn't work because the problem with making a bad live service game is if everything in the game sucks, then it's just a bunch of microtransactions, and that's it. And the only thing you can talk about is, honestly, just the pay-to-win aspects and microtransactions and whatnot. That's just how the cookie crumbles. It's very simple. If this was a good game, no one would care that it's a live service game.
The game is still $70 or $100 if you want the digital deluxe edition.
Nice.
Which is just something that I don't quite understand. In terms of player numbers, you'll see that the all-time peak hasn't been broken, and this is pretty tepid as far as like a major AAA live service release goes. And the 24-hour peak has capped at 2,900 players, which is more than the triple digits that the game's been getting.
Well, to be fair, that is... How much is that even? 1,500% player increase, technically, I think? Not bad. Not bad, technically. Technically, he said.
Getting lately, but that's because Season 1 launch, a new character launch, so there are some folks out there who decided to tune in and see what this update provided. And unfortunately, a lot of what the update provided was disappointment. And even looking at the boosted player numbers for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it still is about the same as the years old and single player experience Arkham Knight, which had a 24-hour peak of over 3,000 players, a little more than Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League did.
Sad.
So that further highlights that the interest surrounding Suicide Squad has not really sparked up as much as Warner Brothers is hoping it will. And beyond that, Warner Brothers has also admitted that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has fallen short of our expectations. I don't think they've shared exact figures, but...
Yeah, we know that. We know that. It's hilarious, and we know that.
They've basically said that the game is a financial failure. So much so in fact, that they decided to shift directions altogether. Warner Brothers discussed volatile AAA console games and will lean more into free-to-play and mobile and live services, which is insane when you consider how well Hogwarts Legacy did, which was a AAA single-player campaign, narrative-driven.
No, Young, it makes perfect sense that Hogwarts Legacy, I won't say Harry Potter Legacy always. Hogwarts Legacy is kind of a black swan event for a company like this, and they don't like that. Line needs to go up. And while you think any kind of line going up is good, you need to understand one thing. Line going up like this is good. Line going up like this means probably line going down. Line going down after like that is bad. This is why these AAA industries don't want to actually produce something as great of a hit as Hogwarts Legacy. Because the amount of money they make is only good for like 1 year, okay? Everyone gets their bonuses, everyone's happy. But that means that next year, because you made there was such a spectacular success, you're not getting those bonuses. So you got 1 year's of bonuses, and next year you're not gonna repeat that. And your bonuses are probably taking 100%, well no, 120% into account the fact that you had this absolute black swan event that pushed everything up. Because you need to account for it. So, no one likes it. Everyone there, everyone at the highest positions is really savvy about one thing, and that's how to get your bonus by performing well enough. So, having a risk like that is absolutely devastating. In big companies, you know what smart people do? Every year, you get your budgetary goal that you need to fulfill through whatever means, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter how you fulfill it typically. Do you do this? Do you do that? There's a smaller breakdown, but on average, hey, if you made 1 million last year, now you're supposed to make 1.2 million. And this is what everyone smart in every industry does. When they fulfill this budgetary goal, if it's really fast, like, for example, in the mid of the year, everything else that they planned, they're not gonna release. Because after you have fulfilled this quota that you are expected to fulfill, so everything's good, cheeky, and you keep your job and you get your bonus, fulfilling it even more is bad. So when you fulfill your goal, you're just scraping by at that point. You're not doing anything big, you're not doing anything fancy, you're not doing anything special. And you leave all your ideas, the things that could be successful and people like, for the next year. Because that's how you guarantee yourself bonuses. It's a very simple game.
Experience, where Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the live service game, is the thing that ended up flopping, so why not lean into taking IPs and allowing developers to make the best experience possible and not making everything a live service. So yeah, early signs of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League already indicated that this is a live service that is not destined to last very long, that it's fated to kind of follow the path that Marvel's Avengers did, despite the big IP brand name that it carries. And an early sign that Season 1 might be troubled was this rather shady aspect. Recall that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was promised to offer free content, so new characters like Joker would be free, except it turns out that you could pay to unlock Joker early. This is a notice that players got not too long ago, and one of the quotes there reads, "The Joker can be unlocked as part of the story for Season 1 by defeating Brainiac, or if you just can't wait, you can get instant access to him in the store."
Nice.
That had people thinking there must be some grind involved in unlocking Joker if they're allowing players to just pay to unlock him right away, which is just a really shitty move. And not even Marvel's Avengers did it that way. In Marvel's Avengers, when a new character launched, you just got that character immediately. For a game that's struggling to garner player interest, the last thing it wants to do right now...
Dude, Marvel's Avengers was so sad, boring, that I didn't even care to talk about it.
Is test the patience of the remaining players, and that's exactly what they did with Season 1 of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League with the launch of Joker. So what's new with Season 1? Well, aside from the addition of Joker, There's
Nothing.
a cosmetically modified version of Metropolis, one that's corrupted with nice-looking Joker imagery, but it's purely cosmetic, not much in the way of new gameplay elements or new content additions. And then there are the
Now, to be fair, to defend Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, that's fine, because even if there were new gameplay additions, they would probably be horrible and boring anyway. So, technically, nothing was lost.
new incursions missions, and I put that in quote because people are discovering that incursions is just existing content that's kind of reshuffled, and there's some new cosmetics and gear, but
Nice.
it's generally argued that all of this stuff is nowhere near enough for Season 1 to feel like a substantial content update that sparks new life into the game. In fact, Forbes put out a scathing article that detailed why this Season 1, or the Joker season of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, is so unbelievably bad. One of the worst live season launches I've ever seen, said editor Paul Tassi, who is very engaged with live services and plays them and keeps up with them. He first details how egregious it is that you don't even get Joker when you log in. Instead, you have to grind to season rank 35 to fight Brainiac to then unlock him, which is just a series of essentially missions that you've already played prior to Season 1, somewhere between 10 to 20 missions, depending on the mission, to reach that level. And it is all old content with your old characters. There's no new mission types at launch here, zero. The developers did say that they were planning on releasing a new mission type called...
Though I'm completely fine with this on a technical level. Hey, if there's something new that comes out and it's not instantaneously given to you, I don't particularly find that honestly as much of a problem. Now, if you have to grind like 20 hours to get it, sucks. But, you know, if it's like, get some kind of rank in like, you know, an hour or two, and I'm assuming these doing 10 or 20 missions is like 3 hours of gameplay, that's not the worst thing I have seen in my life. I would not even honestly complain about it. But if it takes longer, then yeah, I'm gonna complain about it.
Stronghold, but that may not launch until halfway through the season. And then there's the new Brainiac boss fight. For those who don't know, the setup of the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League campaign experience is they leave you in a cliffhanger where there's essentially multiverses of Brainiacs involved, and in the base game, you fight against a Brainiac boss battle who essentially mimics the Flash. It seems...
Dude, the worst thing about DC by far in general is multiverses. How many times have there been already... How many events have there been in DC where, okay, there's too many multiverses, we need to do some kind of, I don't know, crisis. Let's call it an Infinity Earth crisis on them. Yeah, that sounds... How many times has that already happened? I swear it's many.
As though in this one, the Brainiac boss battle mimics Green Lantern, and there's not enough variation in how that fight plays out to feel all that different from the actual Green Lantern fight. It just feels like recycled content with a Brainiac skin wrapped around it. So this also feels like recycled material, and just the whole concept of having to fight Brainiac over and over again, and Brainiac just uses powers of Justice League members that you've already fought, and so it's not really new feeling. Like, it's just an awful concept. When it comes to Joker story content, it's pretty bare. There's like a motion comic at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a pretty good concept, honestly, if you do it right. Again, Young's just calling it bad because everything bad. But that's not a bad concept. You can make it work. Again, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, there's no problem with this microtransaction, always online, blah 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 concept. The problem with this garbage is that it's executed beyond poorly and everyone hates it because there's no game attached to it. But the concepts itself are solid.
Of the season that the season opens with, and then there's like one cutscene with him being taken to Argus and recruited, but aside from that, there's not much else. He doesn't even talk to Harley Quinn, which is kind of crazy given the strong connection that Joker has to Harley Quinn and vice versa. But yeah, there's just no story mission related to Joker at all. There's no content specifically made for players to dive into with Joker. No story missions in this season whatsoever. Once you have Joker...
Didn't we previously hear that it's gonna be a story theme mission to unlock the Joker? Wow. The fact that there's absolutely no new things involving the story now is kind of crazy bad.
It's back to grinding the same stuff again. So the post game, once you do unlock Joker, is not particularly fun. It's more recycled content, which makes the decision to lock Joker until the end of what is already repetitive and grindy sort of season 1 leveling all the more baffling, especially with the lack of new objectives. And then Joker himself is not particularly compelling as a brand new character because all of the characters kind of play pretty much the same. They all shoot guns, and the only thing that
That's my favorite part. They all shoot guns. All of the guns feel bad. All of the guns look bad, by the way. And King Shark is a gun. And Captain Boomerang is a gun, because it just makes sense.
differentiates them is
Captain Boomerang uses the boomerangs less than the flash powers, okay? Let that sink in for a minute.
how they traverse and move around and their ultimate, but
Dude, they should have just added Ezra Miller to this universe. I mean, it can't get a lot shittier than it already is, right? Add Amber Heard, Ezra Miller, and, call it a day. At least we will be having a couple of good chuckles about it.
that's just not enough to make these characters feel truly distinct from one another and give them a unique identity as far as gameplay is concerned. So this Season 1 situation is just really looking like a bust. Furthermore, on Steam, you'll find users who have talked about the Season 1 Joker content update and how it is just not enough to revitalize a game that was dying since launch. This user review reads, Season 1 just dropped and it's literally just a grind fest to get Joker, who adds almost no cutscenes and no banter, and the new map is just a reskin.
I mean, I'm kind of thankful there's no Joker banter, because imagine how bad Joker banter would be for a game this bad. It would be horrible, okay? Everyone would be turning off dialogue sound.
Of the first map. Things are especially brutal if you go to the official Suicide Squad subreddit, where you will find that the top posts and threads over the last 24 hours consist of people just in complete disbelief at just how bad and lacking and insubstantial this Season 1 is, with people saying things like, was a champion of this game, fuck it now. So this is comments coming from loyal players who had hopes that
I don't know if that's a loyal player. Maybe that's some guy just trolling, Young.
Rocksteady could
I don't know about you, but I wouldn't necessarily believe everything on the internet.
turn things around. This user highlighted how there's just no story content to be seen here, which is a huge missed opportunity for a character as iconic as the Joker. Here's another once loyal player who said, this is it, screw it, I'm out of here.
So the Joker is not an iconic character. It's one of the stupidest, shittiest characters ever, okay? The Joker is one of those villains that actually kills people in pretty brutal ways, honestly. And, I mean, back to Gotham, Joker! I know you killed another million people again, but, back to Gotham! Execute you? Hell no! Back to Gotham! The place you have busted out like 1 billion times at this point? Back to Gotham! God, I swear to God, Batman and everything surrounding Batman is just the worst thing in the history of heaven. Batman versus, I don't know, God. He trips over his shoelaces, looks down, there's no shoelaces. He puts his hand up his ass and pulls out a bobby pin. And bam! He combines that bobby pin with a little bit of spit and the rubber band, and God is defeated. There you go. There you go. That Batman, the greatest detective alive, everyone. God, I hate that character so much. It's beyond lame.
Season was make or break for this game, which many people would argue, yes, this is very much the season that would define and set the tone for the future of this game. And with Season 1 having just landed on its face so spectacularly, many are not hopeful anymore, including loyal players. This post continues. This game definitely didn't make it as far as make or break is concerned. The new character you either grind for or buy, and nothing more. No story, no new missions, no new content. There's nothing different besides new Riddler crap and some reskinned buildings. Here's somebody else.
Ah, yes. Hey. In the Arkham games, Riddler made sense because, you know, he wants to prove that he's smarter than the Batman and whatnot, right? But what is the Riddler doing now? Trying to prove that he's smarter than King Shark? Who is a gun? Who is a gun? It is what it is.
No excuses, calling this season 1 just terrible, and highlighting how Helldivers 2, which hasn't been out as long as Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been out for a shorter time, has gotten so much new content and has done such a significantly better job as a live service that feels like there's just a bright future to come. And Helldivers 2 is also a game that charged $40 instead of Suicide Squad $70, which makes the value of that game all the more enticing. Here we have another Reddit user. Season 1 is an insult to the remaining player base, and the complaints of this player...
As it should be, because there comes... Hey, I play trash games that objectively even I myself call trash when I'm bored, okay? And you also have played some games that, you know, the majority of the world would definitely call trash and not like. Because you were bored, because it did something that you really wanted, or whatever the reasoning is. But we didn't play those games for this long of a time. The last 200 players that were left playing this game... That's just sad.
Echo complaints seen across the board, discussing how lackluster the story is, if there's any to be discussed even. What is the point of unlocking a new character when you're basically not doing anything new with them? You unlock them at the end of Season 1 content, and when you finally unlock Joker, what you're left with is the insubstantial, recycled grind fest that is the post-game. Here's somebody else who's in disbelief saying, holy shit, you're telling me there's no story? New missions are basically the same stuff. I need to grind 35 of those missions before I can unlock the new character through a recycled boss fight, referring to the fact that the final Brainiac boss battle in the season is just the Green Lantern boss fight you've already played. And this is generally just how the community discourse is playing out, again, from once loyal fans who are now saying, it's been real, y'all, I'm out.
It is what it is. Anyway, we get it young. Anyway, let's check out, boys.
Gaming news, reviews, and discussions. Stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time.
Young out.
Young out.
Classic young outing. Anyway, that was Young Yeah. This was Guzer Sin. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye bye.